recording started, and we can go ahead and jump right in here. So, first thing I'm always doing when we jump into a game is taking a look at our team comp, and then the enemy team comp comes kind of second. This way we can think about different things like how we're going to use Grav, who can we combo with, how should we be using bubbles. So, for example, like Sigma's probably just going to be, our main bubble target, who he's just going to be our standard target, who we're just going to use most of our bubbles on. But Genji, when he's going for Blade, is going to be a really good one to go for, and we got to make sure we're paying attention to that. Echo, when she's ulting, is probably going to be another good one that we can go for, to give her a little bit more, allow her to get more aggressive when she has her ultimate. And then when we're looking to combo, we can probably combo, since we have the Nano Blade, we probably don't want to combo with that. We can probably maybe combo with Echo, but besides that, we can probably just use her ult on our own.
In like a situation like this, I would sort of say, like, just looking at our team sort of comp, in the back of my head, I would be thinking for the Grav, basically, like I wouldn't, we've got Nano Blade, so I wouldn't worry about it for that. I'd more focus on getting high charge and Grav and doing it that way. Is that like a good or a bad thing, or
So
situation?
waiting till you get energy before you grab?
Yeah. So like trying to get my energy as high as I could.
I think that if you see that, I don't think energy necessarily matters as long as you know that you have your team there to follow up. If you're grabbing and you're like nowhere near your team, or you're super far pushed forward, or you're off on a duel or something like that, then yes, you
That's
need.
not worth it.
Yeah, then you need the energy for it, and you're not going to be able to follow up on it without the energy. But if you're grabbing in front of 5 players on your team, it shouldn't necessarily matter if you have energy or not, as long as the grab's good.
Okay, yep, no worries.
Right, so we have a little bit of a dive, little bit of we're kind of like a hybrid comp. We're all playing whatever, looking mainly for just kind of spamming, looking for picks and whatnot. Enemy team is looking like a little bit of a hybrid as well. They're a little bit spammy. Whenever, like, hybrid is just whenever you don't really have a main composition. You're not running brawl.
Yep.
You're not running spam. You're not running dive. So we're both kind of running that currently. Okay.
Adjusting angle of attack.
Okay, look to use your bubble a little bit earlier as you're turning this corner. Originally when you're walking in here, as like probably right about now, right? When you see that you have multiple people shooting in, a lot of the time there's gonna be a lot of, especially on these control points, there's just gonna be a lot of spam coming down here, right? Because they're all looking to just spam in, get some damage in. It's all really, because our team's all grouped up in this one little spot, all the damage is gonna be coming here. So we can probably get a decent bit of ult or energy if we're bubbling right as we're turning the corner. But the longer we wait, the more it becomes obvious that we're looking for a bubble, right? So us walking forwards here and then bubbling, the big reason why we don't get energy there, besides the shield coming in, is because we made it obvious that we were going for bubble, so they just didn't shoot at us, right? We waited too long on it. With our Sigma here, with our bubble, make sure we're looking to bubble him when he's getting aggressive, not backing up. Here we see him backing up behind cover, which we don't want to be using bubble when he's doing that, because then he just kind of ducks behind cover, and now we don't get value out of it. So I'm probably gonna be looking at bubbles as one of the bigger things, as bubble often is the biggest things that lower level Zarya struggle with, as bubbles impact every single aspect of your gameplay. So we'll see how it goes from here, but not going to be the greatest when we're starting off the fight at low energy. No. Watch getting aggressive when you don't have energy. Or sorry, when you don't know your bubble. That's what I meant to say. And we also got to pay attention to where our team's at. Here we know Tracer's on our left. We don't know Kree's on our left. But we got the bubble off, and we actually do see Kree here, right? We see Kree. We just don't notice him. And we're getting aggressive to where we're pushing out into the open, where every single member of their team can shoot at us when we don't have bubble available, right? So this is exactly what you're talking about before, with making sure that you're saying you're trying to work on this, is backing up when you don't have bubble. So this is a situation where we end up dying, or I believe we die. Yeah, we die because we're pushing forward when we don't have bubble. And the other thing is just awareness of two things. One, we didn't notice where McCree was. Two, we didn't look at where our team's at, right? Everyone on our team's on point, therefore we shouldn't have been pushed forward. So the big thing I would keep in mind for your positioning is we're going to be looking to, as a Zarya, we're going to be looking to stick behind our main tank a lot of the time. And in this case, that would be our Sigma. So we're looking to stand kind of right behind him most of the time, just kind of follow him around. And if we need to, we can break apart from him. But just as a default, we're going to be looking to stand like right behind him.
Okay. Yep.
The objective is now.
Anyone want to join me?
Group up here.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Bring it.
Okay, good bubble. Okay. Bubbles should be used when we see that when we know that we're gonna take damage, right? So when we're coming in here and we see that every single person on their team is looking at Genji, right? We just quickly scroll through. We go F7, Genji, 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 and this on us not Genji, Genji, right? So every single member of their team is looking at the Genji. Therefore, if we use a personal bubble here, we're not gonna get any, and nobody's gonna shoot at it, right? I think the only reason why we get, well, I don't even know what, because Ana tries to nade herself to keep herself alive, right? The only reason why we get energy is because Ana accidentally gave us energy. So when we're looking for our bubbles, we're looking to use them when we know people are looking at us, when we know that damage is incoming, and this could be through projectiles, or if we just see people looking at us. But if we know that nobody's looking at us because Genji's blading, because we see all their bodies are turned away from us, this is a situation where we don't personal bubble.
Yeah.
Rendezvous at my position.
Oh, pretty nice tracking.
I've been I do 30 minutes practice on Kovac every just the ascendant tracking.
Yep.
Focus with me. Walk the dog.
And the other thing is I play a lot with a bunch of American friends.
Uh.
My ultimate is charged.
So I'm used to playing on 200 ping. This is on my normal ping.
All right.
But yeah, I
Hello.
What is that melody?
Yeah. Okay. So probably probably say the biggest thing so far is energy. We gotta make sure that we're keeping high energy because I guess we'll go over the importance of bubbles. So bubbles provide the majority of your tanking. It's your only tanking ability as Zarya. So bubbles is how you tank on Zarya. Bubbles provide you energy, and energy gives you damage. Damage both gives you ult charge and kills. Kills and ult charge when you team fights. Winning team fights means you're winning rounds. Winning rounds means you're winning games. So therefore, the more energy you have, and the better bubbles you're getting off, the more as Zarya you'll be able to do. So when we're going through all these fights here, and we're sitting at like 15 energy the whole time, or 30 energy, 11, 0, 38, 56, 58, 32, right? 11, never really peaking above 60. We're gonna struggle to do things. Whereas if you watch a Grandmaster Zarya play, at that rank, people know how to not shoot at bubbles, yet they know how to get bubbles off effectively to where they're consistently above the 60 mark, right? You'll see, and when you're having a good game on Zarya, you'll have an average energy of above 60. So we want to make it so that we're trying to get to that spot to where we're getting a lot more value out of our bubbles, so that we're sitting at a higher energy. Because a lot of the times we're here, we back up too early. Like look, we push in, we bubble, but we still have bubble available for 2 seconds, and we back up instantly, right? And then that way they can't shoot at us for the last second. So make sure you're trying to stick in there. On this next bubble here, we use it on Sigma when he has his shield up, right? Don't look to use your bubble on him when his shield is down, right? So that way you can rotate out your abilities. The same thing if you're running a Reinhardt, right? They can't shoot at him at your bubble because there's a shield in the way. So if you wait until shield isn't there, or he's pushing and getting super aggressive, or he's low HP, right? All these things are just going to get you more value. Here we just use it too early and we mistime it. And then that just means we're pushing in here with no energy, less ult charge, less damage, yada yada.
Yeah.
Yep. So if this continues up, that'll probably be the biggest thing that you could work on as a Zarya player, as is probably the biggest thing that most Zarya players in general can work on up until like Diamond, is just bubble usage. So we'll see if this continues to be a problem. But we'll try to, since you already get the main point, we'll look to try to maybe focus on some other areas. Right now we have Grab, but we also have Nanoblade. So here we're potentially looking to use all three, but if possible, we're gonna try to see if we get value out of Nanoblade first. Okay. What do we do with our bubble here? Okay.
Yeah.
Again, using it a little too early, and then on top of that, when we see that we have the Nanoblade available, like I said at the very beginning of this round, this is a perfect opportunity where we should be bubbling Genji. So this is another aspect of bubbles, is that you should be looking to use bubbles for tanking as much as possible, because tanking, when you get a good tank bubble, that gives you energy most of the time. So think, for example, a Reinhardt charging your teammate, you bubble them, you save their life, you get energy. Roadhog lands a hook, you bubble them, it saves their life, you get energy. They use pretty much any ultimate in the game on your teammate, you bubble them, you save their life, you get energy. So when Genji's going in here, he's getting super aggressive, like we saw in the last fight. When a Genji blades, pretty much every single person on the enemy team looks at them, right? So
Yeah,
he will be taking damage. He will also get a lot of value out of that bubble, as it will stop him from being whole hogged away, right? This stops him from being whole hogged, booped, stunned, right? So that bubble will greatly allow him to get value, as well as giving you energy, right? So we want to be looking to use bubbles in situations like this, because that will actually get you a lot of value. Okay, that is a situation right there where we bubble without energy and without our team being able to follow up, right? So this is a situation like we talked about, like you kind of asked at the very beginning of the game, of should you bubble if you don't have energy for it? In this case, no, because it's out of line of sight of most of our team, which means that we can't follow up on it at all. Okay. Again, make sure we're looking to play a little bit more passive when we don't have bubbles available. We're gonna go over positioning real quick here. All right.
Together we are strong.
So, positioning on Zarya. Oh, and I guess just while we're here real quick, this is just really fast tip, so if you're aware of this, that's fine, but just in case you aren't, you can move faster, especially when you're trying to get back from spawn. You can move faster by jumping and right-clicking at the ground.
Yep.
That way you can just move back faster from spawn, and then that'll you'll just regenerate all that health anyways, because of your shield health. If we're standing right here, okay, and 6 enemies are standing right there, they all have ultimates, they're all shooting at you. It takes us 1, 2, 3 seconds before we are behind the nearest bit of cover, and in that time, we're dead. We died, right? It took us too long, so therefore this is bad positioning. Bad positioning is the absence of cover, whereas good positioning is the usage of cover. So if we're standing right here, this is now good positioning, because we can shoot the same from here, we can land bubbles the same, except for it takes us half a second to get behind cover. Therefore, this is much better positioning. So if we're, we can go back and look at this in that last fight that we just had where we died. If we're wide peeking like this, right? Now this is out in the open to where we can get hooked super easily, we can get shot at super easily. Whereas if we're standing over here, this is just much better, because we can do the exact same thing, except for from a safer position to where we can just duck behind cover. Right? Now there's a lot of different types of positioning. You can use a slope, okay? You can use a pillar, or like so in between right clicks we can do this. While we're reloading, we can duck behind cover. For low HP, we can duck behind cover. Okay. Corners are a big one. Okay, I don't know if yeah, we can do this in Zarya. So like something like an object. So like payload is a good example of this. Okay, pillars, corners, high grounds. What was the other thing? Okay, so just again, I guess this is just so we can save time here. If you do the, I haven't seen this particularly yet, but just so we get this out of the way, so we don't have to walk back here. So this isn't necessarily something that I've seen you struggle with immensely yet, but I at least the second part of this is. But essentially right click has two different functions. The first one is for long distance damage, which I think you did decently on this, where anytime you're outside of left click range, you are right clicking. So that's the first basic one. That's easy enough. You got that. The second one though is for burst damage. So if you get somebody to low HP, you're gonna look to right click and melee to kill them fast. Because whenever you can kill something faster, that means that you're going to get more value, right? If you can kill something faster, that means they have less time to heal. They have less time to get away from you. They have less time to use tanking abilities. So killing stuff faster is always better. So whenever we get something low, and if we're 100% energy or 100 energy here, we can pretty much do this at like half of their HP. But we can look to follow that up with a right click melee, or if we're too far away from the melee, we can just a right click. And then that way we can get the kills much faster. And then if we're like all the way out here at like the max range, because it's gonna take a long time for the projectile to travel, we don't really want to use it at that range.
Okay, yep.
Okay, getting back into the game. We were on Lijiang Tower.
Now arriving at Lijiang Tower. Ready for battle.
Enemy
Alright, so if we watch this, okay, we get booped back. What we do is we push a little bit too aggressive without our bubble. We're not with our team again. We, instead of standing like right behind this doorway, like right where we're at right now is pretty good positioning, but we walk ahead of the doorway, which now means that we're leaving the cover instead of standing behind the cover or next to the cover. Right? So instead of being here, where we can go like this, now we can't, like if we do this, this doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah, okay, yep. Yeah, and got hooked and got punished for it, which is, yeah.
Без труда не вытащишь и рыбку из пруда.
Enemy sniper
Barrier
detected.
activated. Go.
Okay, so it looks like our team fended them off.
gonna make you feel better.
That was just a bad bad habit.
Let's see. I think we're a little too far forward here. Again, keep in mind that you can get not again, I didn't mention this before, but keep in mind you can get the same amount of bubble value from here, right? They're going to shoot at you the exact same from here than they are from here, except for from here, you have to back up much further than if you're already holding in this corner, right? So we're trying to back up to point, which is where we need to go to back up, right? We have to back up, almost twice the distance because we're holding so far forward. So, essentially, this is another thing is, right now we're defeating the purpose of a choke. What is the purpose of a choke?
So so basically to funnel the enemy so they've got
Yep,
one way to
exactly.
come through.
Yep, exactly. So if we are standing right here, right next to the choke point, right, they don't need to walk through it to shoot at us or to kill us. So therefore, there's no reason for them to funnel. So by holding right next to the choke or ahead of the choke or inside of the choke, we are destroying the purpose of the choke and we lose the advantage of it because we're meaning that they don't have to walk through past it to damage us. Now, if we're holding a little bit further back, they have to walk past it to do anything. So that means we get value. But here we take half damage by the time we get to corner, right? So that's not good for us just because we're a little too far forwards. Then that half damage isn't very great for us. We end up getting cold to death. So, biggest things, bubble usage and positioning so far.
Yeah.
Tracking is pretty decent.
Живи, век учись.
Game sense isn't terrible. but it's
I
mainly the
do
visiting.
get a lot of.
Get in there.
I am aware that's something that I do really need to work on a bit. I do get a bit tunnel visioned off in my own
Mm.
little world occasionally.
Yep. And essentially how to be more aware of what's going on around you and how to not get tunnel vision is to make sure that you're looking around you. So turn your head.
Yeah.
Don't just stare straight forwards, especially when you're not actively shooting at something. Look left or look right, look left, turn around to do 360, check where your team's at. I think twice so far this game we weren't really even aware of where our team is positioned because we're not looking to the sides of us.
Yeah. I
Make
am
sure.
really bad for that.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly right. So and then that'll gets our awareness up. Look at the corners of our screens, not just that's an annoying sound. Look at the corners of our screens, not just our crosshair, right? So what's our ult at? What's our health looking like? Bubbles, what's the cooldown on those? What's happening in kill feed? What's happening in the time bank, right? There's a lot of things to take into account, right? And that's just gonna up our awareness. And then when awareness is up, decision making is up, right? You can't make good decisions if you don't know what's happening. So the better awareness is, the better our decisions are going to be. Right, so the one AP tracer, that's just an example of where you're right clicking, right? Just finish off the kill a lot faster. Yeah, we got the point.
Ready for battle.
Okay, so we're on a ball now. Ball's still probably our best most of the time. Tank's just going to be the default target to bubble. And then DPS are going to be the ones that we go for ultimates a lot of the times, and then supports and anybody else is just for whenever it's needed, right? If it's a tanking bubble. So let's see when we see balls. Oh, okay, they're all going left. Okay.
Go.
Make sure you're checking your left side, right? Because while we're walking forwards here, if we see that there's nothing there, that no one's appeared, like they have the same exact walk speed as us, right? Or at least we're walking slightly faster because we have a Lucio. But if we're getting all the way across the bridge here before we don't see a single person or see any shots, like if they're shooting at ball, we're seeing and also these spam shots are coming through this way, right? If you don't see
Yep.
anything about a single person, we need to be looking around this, right? So this comes into awareness again, is don't stare in a straight line, don't tunnel vision on this one bridge, look left side too, right? Make sure we're checking both sides, because there are two different directions they can come from here. And we even seem a little bit confused after we see that no one's there. We're like, huh? Where are they at?
Yeah, I was a little bit confused. I was just like, hang on.
Raising the volume. Get into position.
Barriers on you.
Okay. Whoops, didn't mean to skip forward there. Let's watch positioning here real quick. Right. We use bubble. Okay. Out in the open, right? Not using this, not using this.
Yep.
These are two different forms of cover. We're standing flat in the middle of it. Just not good for us. We're also kind of, I think we're trying to get our energy up here, but when we're looking for a bubble like this, make sure, like, again, if we're not shooting at something, there's no reason to let them see us. So back around the corner. So we somehow survive it.
I finished them all. Lifting off.
Get in there.
Bubbles seem to a lot of the times just be thrown out off a cooldown, right? When you're using bubbles, you want to be looking for both quantity and quality, right? Right now we're going purely for quantity, and we're throwing bubbles out as soon as we get them, but we're never looking at how we're using them. We're not looking for situations to use them well. So we want to be looking for situations where, hey, this person's taking damage, this person is in the fight. Instead, we bubble just whenever we get it on the first person we see. So Genji here, right? Who's looking at Genji? From our perspective, no one. Okay, Lucio. Okay, that's it, right? So from our perspective, no one's looking at Genji. So rather than throwing this bubble out, we hold on to it until something is looking at somebody else.
In there.
This will restore you.
I claim this
So we're
objective.
looking at
Stand with me.
projectiles that are coming in, as well as like how many people are looking and shooting in at a certain person or
Can you give me
or
some skills?
direction.
gonna make you feel better. Let's hustle.
Barriers on you.
Okay.
That's more like it.
Imagine how much better of a bubble this is after we wait
Right
until they
now.
dive in,
Yeah.
right? And they're on top of Lucio, than trying to soak up like two little dots of spam, right? Especially when they're on dive, the better bubbles are going to be when somebody's getting dove, not just taking poke. Because if we look at their comp, the only one who can actually do damage from a distance is Soldier, right? One single person on their team can do long range distance. So if they're not on top of our teammates, we probably don't want to be bubbling them. Instead, we wait until after they've dove Lucio, and then we bubble Lucio, and that's a much better bubble.
Barriers on you.
We also use our bubble early there.
I have a really bad habit of doing that. For some reason, I use projected and I use my personal, and that's just I think because I used to spam it a lot when I was learning Zarya to start with.
Yep. So okay, since I don't want to continuously just hammer in the exact same point over and over and over again. So unless I see like a very atrocious usage of bubble and I just want to point it out, I'm just gonna look to go on other topics for now. But you get the main point. Bubbles is probably the biggest thing here. Positioning is
Yeah,
probably the second biggest thing, and then we'll
Yeah.
we'll look to go over some more stuff now.
Mercy on call.
Get in there.
Okay.
Hit me.
Again, both too early. Okay, we're throwing in right clicks good, but I think that's within left click distance. Whenever you're within left click distance, we're not right clicking.
Barriers on you.
Good bubble.
Give me your best shot.
Okay, make sure monkey is not your main focus. So, for target priority. Tanks, the only kind of like the value that tanks get is tanks are there to create space for DPS and supports. DPS are the ones who have the statistically highest amount of damage output. Supports have the highest amount of healing output, right? So tanks have 3 times the amount of health as both of the other categories. A monkey can be pocketed by a Moira and a Lucio. But a Moira cannot be pocketed by herself and a Lucio, right? So,
Sure, yep.
DPS and supports are going to be much easier to kill, much easier to kill, and they also, have higher output than tanks. So, I'm not saying that you should never focus tanks. Tanks are what we shoot at if a tank is the only thing that we can see because they're on the front line. Tanks are what we shoot at if they're low. Tanks are what we shoot at if they're out of position. Tanks are what we shoot at if our entire team is focusing the tank. But if we're given the option between picking Monkey and, for example, let's say Monkey, D.Va, Lucio, right? If we're given the option between Monkey and Lucio, Monkey and D.Va, whose D.Va is lower HP than the Monkey, right? If we look at D.Va's HP in a second here, right? We see that she's half the HP of Monkey. We should be focusing both of those other targets because Lucio's is going to be a much easier target to kill than a Monkey, and D.Va's going to be a much easier target to kill the Monkey if she's half HP.
I'm even stronger. Barriers on you. Everyone, on the objective. Ready for battle. Let's go.
Right. Add in these right clicks. On these targets, especially D.Va and Baby, Baby and Tracer, right? Those are 2 super tiny targets, so they're really hard to hit with your left click. 1, 2, like that right click's gonna do when you're 70 HP or 70 HP. My words aren't working. When you're 70 energy,
Right.
that right click is gonna do like 3/4 of her health, right? That one right click's gonna do the majority of her health, and it just takes a tiny little tickle. So look for that right click, and that's gonna be really easy to kill both of those characters. But we're very rarely looking for right clicks as finishers, and we're very rarely looking to use right clicks on those squishier targets, especially when it's very hard to track them, like track a Tracer, track a Baby D.Va.
Doing things like this, just poking like with the right click and stuff, that's alright. Yeah, sort of just
Yep, that's all right.
spamming down there. Yep.
Yep, that's exactly what you're looking to do. And then if we see, and we should also maybe be looking to be out in the open or in a really kind of standing still here, so that they get tempted to shoot at us. So for example, if we see a soldier throw a helix at us, that's an easy gobble that we can do with our bubble and get some energy out of that, right? Like that, for example, he just did 300 HP to us. Imagine if we bubbled when we saw
If I had
him
a
start
beam
shooting at us.
earlier.
Yep.
Yep.
So this would be a good example where we could have bubbled, right? Just because we're standing here and baiting it. So when we're looking for bubbles, we can kind of stand still, so we're a very juicy, easy target for them to try to shoot at, and then we just bubble to soak up all the damage when they start shooting at us. Yep, that's a good idea to spam there, because then you get your ult online. Okay, so we have our ult online. Here, now that we don't have a Nano Blade, we're probably looking to combo with our Genji, right? So I'd be
Sure.
saying,
Yep.
Genji, look to combo with my grab, okay? And that's what I'd like. You'd be calling it out in chat. Again, look to bubble the Genji when he's going for Blade here.
You're covered.
I think we accidentally bubble right there.
Yeah.
Let's see, who is our... Let's see, you see this real quick. All right. Have you adjusted your bubble sensitivity at all?
I have not. That was something I was going to ask you about.
Yeah. So, what particularly are you curious about on it?
I would like. I'm. Is it? I'm not quite 100% sure how much difference it really makes. I think I was trying to bubble the Genji
Yeah. Yeah. I would.
or whoever's up
Yeah, I think so.
up there. Yeah, and the Mercy. So if I'd had lower bubble sensitivity, it may not have possibly locked onto the Mercy straight away. Is that sort of how it
Um,
works? Or
in this situation, it does look like our crosshairs kind of even across both of them. So I don't think that in this situation is one where it can be impacted. But this is kind of situations where it makes me think about it. Let's see. We have bubble there, and we just bubble here. Um, actually, I think that, yeah, if we had a lower bubble sensitivity, that might have gone to the Genji, because our crosshair is slightly closer to the Genji than the Mercy
or the
here.
ball? Yeah.
So yeah, exactly, the ball. That would have 100% gone on the ball. I didn't even think about the ball. So lower sensitivity means that it's going more towards your crosshair. So you don't want to lower that to 0, because then, or to 10 is the lowest. Because then that makes it insanely hard to land bubbles. And you don't want it to be like that. But you might want to lower it down to like 50, 60, 70, something like that, so that you can aim it a little bit more accurately to where it can go closer to your crosshair and not hit the wrong person.
Yep. No,
Because this is
understood.
definitely a situation. I didn't even see the ball, but yeah, this is definitely a situation where that would have gone to ball had your sensitivity been lower.
Okay. Yep. Cool.
Heroes never die.
Okay, they have a diva, so let's see how we approach this to try to get out around the diva's bubble.
Barrier activated.
I'll just been late there on it.
All right, good decision not to use grab there, as we had already lost the fight.
I will never surrender.
Healing boost. Speed boost.
Barrier is on you. Go.
Okay, again, bubble's going to the wrong target. Make sure trying to pick out the target a little bit better.
Kill the Mahal.
All right,
You needed a doctor. Oh, let's break it. Damn.
looking to use grab, I assume here. We're really only looking to get 2 people lined up, right? Especially because they're on a dive. We're not going to get 6 people. Whenever you're looking for a
Yeah.
grab, we should not really be looking for a 6-man grab, because unless they're all clumped up, right? Because we don't want to look for those perfect ones, because getting 2 picks can pretty much win the fight. We don't need to be getting 6 people in our grabs. So when we're turning this corner, right? I'm assuming we're attempting to look for a grab, or at least if
I
you're
think
not.
I think that's what I was gonna go for. I was gonna try and get the Moira and the Brigader. I think.
Yep. So like right here on our left right now, we have an opportunity where we can probably grab like in between the Brig and the Moria, right? Moria can't get out of it because she's in the middle of coalescence, so that's a perfect opportunity for a grab right there.
Go.
Right? We're looking at the Moria too long here. Tunnel. Yep. A little too far on the open. Tunnel visioning, leaving cover.
Yeah.
Yep, also
I
hesitating on the grab.
Yeah, I think what was going through my head was like, oh, I've got beat. Just go and be aggressive, and then I just tunnel visioned and yeah, got
Yep.
punished for it.
And the other thing to keep in mind is we want to make sure that we're using two things. First off, one, make sure we're using our ultimates in general, right? Because the more ultimates we use, the more we'll be charging up. The more ultimates we use, the more value we're getting, right? And ultimate not used means that we're not getting any value out of that ult. The second thing is try to make sure you're using your ult as early in the fight as possible, because
Okay, yep.
the further into the fight we go, inherently ults will get less value if they use ults first, right? So for example, let's say they came in and they used Coalescence and Primal first before we used Grav. That means that Primal and Coalescence are doing damage, they're beating out abilities, and ultimately they're getting kills. So they get a kill with Primal, and that means that now your Grav is going to do less because you have less follow up on it, and your
Sure.
Grav and you're automatically at a disadvantage there. So the faster you can use your ultimate, the more value you'll get, because all ultimates that are used second will just get less value.
Okay, yep.
Moira.
Без труда не видишь и рыбку без труда.
My ultimate is ready.
Drop up.
Barriers on you. Go. Огонь по готовности.
Okay, try not to chuck grabs when we know we're up against a diva. Now we are fortunate because diva didn't eat it, and diva is ended up bombing or something like that. But if we're just lugging grab in like that, then that makes it very, very easy for a diva to eat it. So what we can do instead to stop a diva from being able to eat our grab is a few different things. First off, we can wait till diva's out of mech, wait till she's dead. If we see diva all the way like where the soldier is, then she's nowhere near our grab, we can grab for free. The other things we can do is making sure that we're grabbing towards, if we grab towards the floor, then that means
I
that
do
there's
that,
less
yeah.
travel time. If we grab on a
I do that a
wall,
lot.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, exactly right. If we grab on a wall, then that means that one, there's less travel time. Two, if it's through a wall, then she can't really see us very well, and she can't really. I don't know who. No, I don't want to join your group. She. Sorry about that.
You're up,
She.
man. That's fine.
She can't see us through the wall, so she can't really look to eat it. So this is an example of where we made a mistake, but the mistake wasn't punished. So, but just because the mistake isn't punished doesn't mean it's not a mistake.
Exactly.
Heroes
Right.
never die.
Get into position. I require assistance. Огонь по готовности.
Heroes never die.
Get into position. I am still in the fight.
Duplicating Brigitte.
Okay. When we're walking back from spawn, do the tech where we're shooting at the ground and jumping at the exact same time to go faster. And then that means we'll get back to the fight faster. Zarya, do you like only like kind of one trick Zarya?
I'm trying to get she's the main character I'm focused on
Hmm.
at the moment. I used to play a lot of Sigma, and I was a support main for a long time. And yeah, now I really have been just really trying to put the hours into Zarya at the moment. That's pretty much a lot of
Alright.
playing for the last couple of months.
Reversing personality mode. Enemy radar.
I was a one trick for ages, unfortunately.
Oh.
This will improve your surrender.
Okay.
To my will.
Okay, good bubbles. Now we're high energy, and that is good for us. Now we're just trying to keep that up. Right, so instead of like kind of ducking in and out here, if we're trying to get soldier to keep shooting at us, pretty much just stand still for him or stand in the same spot instead of like making it difficult for him to shoot at you. And then that way he starts shooting at you, and then you can just bubble once he starts shooting at you
Yep.
kind of thoroughly. When you see that helix coming in, look, bubble that, right? That's projectiles are very easy to bubble as you can see it coming in.
Heroes never die.
Locking on.
All right, so we just kind of getting bullied by the monkey there, so that's all good.
Activating self-destruct.
But we were also kind of on our own there to start off the fight, so make sure we're also positioning with our team rather than all the way on the right side of the map.
Ready for battle.
Good timing on the bubble. Now unfortunately he just got absolutely rolled by the nade there, but
Yeah.
that's good timing with the bubble usage, as we're using it when he was actually in there swinging rather than using it like first thing when we turn the corner. We're a little bit lagging behind with our second bubble usage. We're not really looking to use it right now. We need to be playing. We need to be looking to get out. We just lost 2 players right off the bat. We're losing this fight. We haven't used personal bubble yet. Oh yeah, we have used. We did. When did we use personal bubble? At the same time as our Reinhardt. Don't use your bubbles at the same. Don't try not to use your projected bubble and your personal bubble at the exact same time, as really what that means is that Reinhardt's in front of you. He's going to be blocking all the shots that are going to your first bubble, right? Or like
Sure.
he's technically like just kind of tanking up all this. So what you can do instead is you can rotate in and out with your bubbles here. So Reinhardt goes in, he uses bubble. Okay, Reinhardt's bubble goes down. We step in it like kind of inside or like right in front of him like this. We bubble, we soak up damage for Reinhardt, and then we just back up behind Reinhardt, right? So we can
Okay.
that way we're getting more value out of for more tanking value and more energy value. Now we look to back out here. We just back out too slowly. We are down 2 people here, and we're holding on the left side. Since we're down our main tank there, we probably just want to be much further back. The only way we're gonna win that is if we like get counter frags, and we need to kind of look, because we don't have a main tank on the front line. We need to play very far backwards.
The objective is now active. Perseverance is the key. Go. That's more like it.
And when we're using our bubble, it's like while we're behind our Reinhardt, we're pretty far backwards. We're not. They have Junkrat, a soldier, and a Reinhardt, and we're not waiting on Fire Strike. We're not waiting on Helix. We're not waiting on Junkrat spam. Right. Make sure we're looking to use this. They have a lot of projectiles. Look to use our bubble when we see that damage coming in, not when we see no damage is coming in.
Sure.
You're covered. Give me your best shot. Charging up. Barrier activated. Maximum charge. Reticles.
Let's get you here. Oh, let's break it.
Double evenly. Barriers on your course. Go. Don't hold back. Maximum charge.
Okay, so we seem to be doing a lot much better, and I think that on energy, and I think that the main reason behind this is because of the fact that they just have a higher output damage of a composition, right? It's a lot easier to get bubble value against a Junkrat, Reinhardt, and Zarya than it is to get against a
Yeah.
dive. So this just like kind of suits our matchup a little bit better here, but that just goes to show how when we're up against different compositions, we need to be changing our play style and playing differently. So you can see here just how much easier it is to play against these when it comes to bubble usage.
You're covered.
When we are high energy, right, when we're above like 70, 80, right, all of our bubbles pretty much exclusively need to be used for tanking, right? This bubble is not used for tanking, this is used for energy, and that just means that we're not going to have that bubble again when the fight starts pretty soon here, as they're looking to walk through the choke, right? So let's see, so they are walking in, and we end up backing up here, but so they did walk in slowly there, but we just have to be careful about that. We wanna, unless it's like a pure poke, right? And we have a lot of time to poke. We're not gonna want to use that bubble for energy if we know that we're already high energy.
Get in there. Just a scratch.
Duplicating
Yeah, looking to use grab here. Don't want to lag too far behind with it.
Your best shot.
You're powered up. Get in there.
I am unstoppable. Give me your best shot.
We kind of intentionally dodged the damage and then bubbled. So
I do that a bit sometimes. It's just like reaction.
Yep. Right here we can since we're pushed forward for the bubble, I would assume here. So
Yeah.
tank the damage. Here we see a Junkrat pellet and a fire strike come through, and we dodge everything, right? And then we bubble right afterwards. So make sure we're looking to tank. They have so many projectiles. So look to tank those projectiles with their bubbles. We're right positioning, right?
Oh yeah, I'm in Narnia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Watch where our team's at. Be aware of where our team's at. We're also being a little bit okay. Team saves us. We got to be aware of where our grab here. Yep, decent grab. Look to try if we can. Like they're all grouped up. They're playing a brawl comp. We can try to look to get a little bit more people than that in it. So when we're tossing grab in, don't try not to toss it at the tank. Instead, we can look to move to the left here and wait till they all push forward together. That's just that we probably just could have gotten a better grab there. That's a okay grab if they're like on a dive where they only
Yep.
have 2 people grouped up at any time, but they're on a brawl to where they're probably all going to group up like very soon. We just use it a little bit early there, and we don't really wait until they all group up. And then they get the better grab, right, where they get the grab when they get like 3 people in it, and then they just get a whole lot more value out of that, right? They get both us, Echo, right, which is just a higher value grab. So, be looking to make sure when you're looking for your grab again, your grab is going to change based off the team comp you're working against. So if they're all
Yep.
on a brawl, we're now looking to get more people in it. We're trying to get squishies in. We're not just trying to get tanks because tanks are the ones who are they're easy. It's easy for tanks to survive in a grab, right? It's not easy for a squishy to survive in a grab.
Perseverance is the key.
Bubbly Reinhardt, now your Echo there, right? Reinhardt's in the middle of brawling and fighting. Echo's not.
Yep.
Reinhardt just gets more value there. Tanking value and bubble value.
Behind you.
Let's get you healed up.
Give me your best shot.
Yeah, we've done this I've seen this a few other times, so I'll just mention it. Watch our ammo usage here, where we reload, shoot. Okay, 70 ammo when we're reloading, right? So unless there's nothing to shoot at, or we're ducking behind the corner because we're low, or we're trying to just reload real quick. If there's something to shoot at, there should be no reason why we're reloading. So reloading at 70 HP isn't necessary by any means while we're in the middle of fighting. So we just gotta watch out for that. Again, we're reloading at 49%, or 49. We still have half of our clip here.
Yeah.
And then I've also seen that a few times previously. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I did do that a lot.
Okay, shooting ground to get back faster. Watch your teammates when you're looking for bubbles on people. You got to make sure that you're moving, you're paying attention to where they're at so that you can move to the left, to the right. Make sure you're not bubbling when they're like directly in front of you. So we just ended up hitting the Ana there instead of the Reinhardt. Okay, let's see right here real quick. We're walking back into the fight.
Systems and rendezvous at my position.
They cap point, Reinhardt dies. Okay. We should be looking to back up, right? Right this instant, we look to back up because we've lost the fight. Okay. They have 1, 2, 3 people alive, and then 1 walking back. We have 2 people alive on us, 1 HP. So this is a lost fight. We need to look to regroup because of the fact that they have more people than us. And And how we can tell this is through the big way to how to tell when a fight's won or lost is through kill feed. So if we see that we are up 1 or 2 people, that means that we are at an advantage. If we see and when we're at an advantage, we play more aggressive. When we see that we're up 2 to 3 people, that's pretty much where we've won the fight. We no longer want to use ultimates. We want to be pushing super aggressive, getting stagger kills. But this also goes the exact opposite way. If we're down 1 to 2 people, that means that we're at a disadvantage. But we didn't lose yet. We can we just play a little more passive, and we just try to flip it around. If we're down 2 to 3 people, that's pretty much where we've lost the fight. That means that we want to be looking to get out of there, or if we don't think that we can get out, we want to go in and die as fast as possible so that we're not staggering ourselves, and we also don't want to use ults. So here we go in aggressively, and then we look to back up, and it's just a little too slow, and then that means that we get staggered here, right? And then that means that we're dying later and we're wasting time. And on top of wasting time, that can start staggered trains to where now Reinhardt staggered. Okay, so he staggered after you because we staggered. So if we all die at the same time and we're all grouping up together, then that means that we are coming out together, and it's a lot easier to not get staggered, right? If we stagger, then they go in without us, and then they stagger, then we go in without them, right? So that's the stagger train. Don't want to start those by staggering originally.
Yep.
Just a scratch.
Good bubble to eat up that fire strike. Use a bubble.
And on fire activated.
Looking to use our bubble. Again, we're using our bubble when we're standing behind our Reinhardt and when they're all backing up, right? When they're backing up, they're not sending a whole bunch of damage our way. So just more mistimed bubbles.
Jeez, I do reload a lot. It's not bad.
What do we say?
Oh, I do reload a lot, don't I? I don't realise how often I do it.
Yep. We're also reloading at 60 again. Yep, that's going to be a big one, right? That's cutting out a lot of time that you could just potentially be doing damage.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so why don't we since we just finished the replay and we have 3 minutes left, why don't we just do a recap real quick? Big 2 things here, or I'd probably say big top 3 things. Okay, first thing is our bubble usage. Bubble usage will impact pretty much all aspects of our gameplay, so make sure we're looking to use bubbles when we see damages coming in, as well as we're looking to use bubbles for tanking, as tanking will get us more energy, right? So look to focus on quality. Our quantity is fine. We don't want to all of a sudden flip it the other way and go, we're never using bubble, we're always looking for the perfect opportunity. That's not what we want to do, right? We're looking for quantity and quality, right? So try to focus on the quality a little bit more. We're good on the quantity part. Now, second thing is our positioning. Make sure we're positioned near cover a lot more often, and we're positioned next to our team a lot more often. A lot of the times we run off on our own, and that's really only going to work if you have high energy and if you have your personal bubble available, because in that situation, you will have, you'll be able to frag out kills on your own, and you'll have your bubble to get out, right? But if we don't have energy, then what's the point of flanking, because we're not going to do any damage. And if we don't have bubble, then we're just going super aggressive when we don't have a way to get out. Now, thirdly, right, third thing is awareness. Look around you, pay attention to where your team's at so that we're not running off without them, and we're paying attention to how aggressive they're being, so that we can back off when they're being passive, and we can go aggressive when our team's being aggressive, so that we're not always doing our own thing, right? And then being aware as well will just help us to be aware of not letting our bubbles get stolen by teammates, of where enemies are at, right? So just be aware of more things around you by looking around you, not tunnel visioning, not staring at your crosshair, looking at the corners of your screens at all the different types of info that you can get, and by listening more often. Right? Do you have any questions on anything that we've gone over?
No, you've been like really helpful, man. What I'll probably do is have a work on these things for a week or 2, and then probably hit you up again and go from there if that's all right.
Yeah, that sounds fine with me. I'm gonna end
Cool.
the